If you're playing Cataclismo, you might be wondering how to best build your base through various chapters and survive while managing the city. Here are our best tips for optimizing building for city build levels. The city build chapters are levels where you are required to survive up to 3 full night and day cycles. Your goal is to build a city that can generate enough materials and resources you need to defend your citadel. You'll want to start by establishing your resource farming points. Make sure your sawmills are positioned near heavily forested areas to get plentiful resources, and ensure that your quarries are located near big chunks of stone and mineral piles. In order to get workers for all of the resources you need, you'll have to establish shacks around your citadel to increase your population. Shacks can be built on top of stone, wood, or other buildings, so don't be afraid to put them down wherever you need and not just on the ground. The most important objectives are to keep your citizen population up and to maintain your oxygen levels. You'll have to place an air filter to make sure your citadel can survive, otherwise you'll eventually fail. The air filters work best when built on a taller surface and will only give the plentiful resource count when built higher. The one thing to keep in mind is that all of these buildings must have a clear path to the citadel. So if you build anything on top of a higher building or surface, you must make a staircase leading down to the ground leading to the citadel. There's a helpful indicator that will let you know which direction your building is facing and where access needs to be built. If you're running out of space, we highly recommend using the spiral staircase pieces to use the least amount of space in your citadel. You'll want to put most of your buildings around the perimeter of your citadel and not outside near the mist, since enemies can and will come out from those points and destroy your buildings. When building your military units, you'll have to set down a barrack to train citizens. You can use the barracks to research better training for your units and get additional perks, like the upgrade for letting your bowmen shoot 3 arrows at once. We recommend investing in bowmen first since they require the least amount of resources. Then recruit lobbers since they provide essential crowd control damage. In some levels, you'll be provided with additional units like the Cannoneer, who excels at low ground combat. For this particular unit, you would need to position them behind cover on the ground to best utilize their perks. During wave pushes, you should be moving your units as needed. Enemies may spawn more on one side or overtake certain walls faster, so you should be keeping an eye on all of your units. Specifically, you should be watching to make sure that if a wall looks like it's about to come down, you move your units on that platform backwards so they don't get stuck up on a ledge with no way to come down. Don't be afraid to back up to maintain a safe distance. Before you build any of your defenses, always make sure you pause the game to optimize your time before night falls. Building is always instant, even in pause mode, and this just saves you from wasting time and being unprepared before the horrors come. Unstable structures also stand when paused, giving you time to swap building materials you might need elsewhere. When you build your main walls, you'll want to build them at least 4 stacks high. The stone wall turns lighter to indicate your wall is now reinforced. Adding merlons or windows will give your units behind those bricks an additional range boost and an extra layer of reinforcement on that part of the wall. Just be aware that putting windows or merlons on the wall will render that wall block inaccessible, so in order to actually get the range bonus and station your units behind them, you will need to build a platform behind the reinforced wall on the same level to ensure your troops have enough room to stand. If you don't want that high of a wall, you can do a 3-stack wall topped with merlons or windows that will reinforce that wall, but it won't be as strong as if you built it as a 4-stack. Building higher does give the height bonus for bowmen and lobbers since they excel at shooting down. Specifically, a wall 5 blocks high will boost bowmen's damage, and a 3 to 4 block wall with a window or merlon will ensure lobbers get their optimal height damage. To maximize your walls and bonuses, use the banners to increase the basic attack damage of your units within the banner range. The banner's effective range is just 1 square around its base with 8 possible spots. If your troops are higher up, we recommend building an additional platform behind your main standing room to put your flag on. If you position it correctly to be within range of the merlons or windows, you will get double bonuses in the overlapping spots indicated by double squares on the surface. When you've built your main walls to your liking, we recommend utilizing what you have left to create little fallback points for your units to fight from. If one of the main walls does get breached, you should direct your troops backwards to a small point of cover consisting of 1 stone block and a window or a few merlons and a banner on the ground behind them. The enemies like to tear down as much of the materials as possible in front of them before advancing, so since they'll be distracted, your troops will be able to thin the crowd from this fallback point before the enemies ever advance to your citadel. We'd also recommend adding various stone blocks and spike traps out in front of your main walls so enemies will get slowed and damaged while your bowmen take out a majority of the enemies before reaching your wall. And there you have it. You should have a fully reinforced base that the horrors will struggle to infiltrate. For more Cataclismo tips and tricks, be sure to stay right here at IGN.